What do you think of the youth coming forward? There's a lot of talk about kids in 2019, 2020, around this time period, struggling with mental illnesses. There's a lot more. There's an increase in the taking of medications. There's a lot more people seeking treatment. Do you see that on a day-to-day basis, or is this something that teachers are aware of?
I probably won't comment on it in terms of a school setting, but probably I coach a lot of youth sport.
Okay.
And probably from that setting, I don't know. I think just from the sporting side of things, I've obviously been involved in sport quite a bit, but I think people have never been have never identified their internal, I don't say struggles, but I don't think they've ever identified themselves internally so well that they ever have. Like, once again, that information is so accessible, and I think that people are now given a chance to think through things that maybe in the past might have been brushed over, with comments like, harden up or things like that. And I think now that, people maybe feel a lot more supported to come out and speak. So I don't know whether issues or, mental health is something that is more prevalent. I just think that maybe people are happier to kind of, self-assess and maybe self-access possibly as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, labeling something often gives you power to speak about it, but it also can perhaps give it power over you. You don't want to have something that's wrong with you or something that is an issue with you define who you are. Like, I have a form of epilepsy, and if I let that sort of run my life, then it can affect me in a detrimental way. I can have, if I'm thinking about it while I'm on stage doing stand-up, then I can become anxious and worried about that happening on that sort of thing. It's a worry for people. They have all these problems in their own head, and then they go to school and they don't know what's going on. And it's the same in the workplace. Like, there's no sort of outlet. There's no sort of group that's in place to help people. And we won't talk about school too much. I know you can't comment on it too much, being your job. You don't want to lose it. But, like, what do people do? Are they too involved in their own minds, do you think? Do they think that there's too much information on the internet, there's too many people, there's the bullying that happens in the school, and then it happens at home? Is there too much going on for kids?
I don't know. Like, it's something that like you asked me before whether I think it's become more prevalent, and I kind of identified that sporting kind of culture.
Yeah.
I've been involved in sport, for a decade. Like I said, I think it just comes back to the fact that I think people maybe just speaking up about it more. But also in my mind, I've never kind of gone through that struggle. So I don't know. Like, it's because I've never identified, as probably being, having a mental health illness. It's really hard to comment, because someone once said to me that, you live in or if you go through that, it must be one world, and then obviously not going through it, and I never scoff at it or anything like that, but I just, it's a real unknown for me. It'd be like me being 7 foot tall. Like, I just don't know what it would be like. So therefore...
it's good.
Yeah, I would imagine. But,
door frames, and not your friend, though.
I just think, people are just kind of identifying it a little bit more within themselves, and maybe speaking up. And, you said before, does it take, power over them? I think everything is a little bit of willpower, but having any type of illness, like, it's always going to be a bit of a battle, regardless if it's physical or mental, trying to kind of put yourself in the mindset that's going to be able to carry you forward. So, I don't want to be offensive. I really just don't have an answer.
That's fine. I mean, and I've lived on either side. I've had the problems with anxiety, and I had the years where I was fine, and it's a very different world that you sort of, it's like getting into a pool when it's too cold. You just slowly find your way in there. It's a very weird sort of realm. But, we all have issues, whether they be physical, whether they be mental, and it's all about sort of accepting them and just overcoming them. And that's what you've done your whole life. Could you give people a bit of a background on yourself and your physical struggle through growing up, and how you sort of found a way to sort of just capitalise on that and become a successful sportsman?
I think, so I was born with Osteogenesis Imperfecta, which is a rare bone disorder. It's similar to osteoporosis. Makes my bones kind of brittle. And yeah, so just growing up, I was just a little bit more susceptible to fractures.
How does it work with the brittleness? Is it the density of the bones?
Yeah, so it's kind of it's a deficiency in collagen in the bone,
Okay.
and it makes them brittle, but also makes them a little bit flexible, so the bones can bow, I guess, in a way. Yeah, so the density is kind of not there, and just making them more prone to fracture. So I kind of you're born with it. It's for me it was genetic mutation. Mum and dad don't have it, and then. Yeah, kind of growing up, had a lot of preventative surgery, rodding, etc., to try and strengthen those bones when I was quite young. And look, I've been quite lucky. Like I can walk. Like a lot of people with what I have don't walk at all. And
Wow.
And I think a lot of people, I didn't realise, but particularly as an adult, God, walking is a really empowering thing. It's not the end of the world, but for me, like one of the things people say, "What's your favourite hobby?" I'm like, I love walking because it keeps me fit and it keeps me healthy. And I know if I'm walking, I know that I'm kind of, being able to do things, and it's massive for me. So,
yeah. So take me through the rodding scenario. Like, what is the process involved? Obviously, you're a kid, but is that to stop that's just to reinforce, like sort of like steel and concrete sort of thing?
Steel and concrete kind of scenario. So yeah, the bone will kind of go down, or the rod will go down the eye of the bone.
Yep.
And the idea is
through the bone.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then if there is a fracture, which it can still occur, what will happen is it'll just keep that bone aligned essentially. So it's a bit of like, it'll strengthen the bone, but it also means that if that bone fractures, that it won't be misaligned, or we won't have a compound fracture kind of scenario. So, and it means also the healing time's a lot better, and it's just a preventative measure, I guess.
That's what they did to Wolverine.
I'm not aware, but I'll take that. So that's all right. So I'll take that on board. Yeah, look, I guess so. And I've got with my legs, they've got the shin, or the tib and the femurs are both rotted.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's the way. I've actually bent a couple of them as well, just through fractures, through force and stuff, and they don't even take them out. Like, they're just, once they're bent, like just imagine trying to take a bent screw out of a wall. It's nearly impossible. So they just keep it in there, and they just go, don't do it again.
How do you go through airports security?
Yeah, it doesn't beep. I used to say that it did, but it never does. Like,
really? That's interesting.
No, just maybe it's a different type of metal. They're titanium.
Yeah,
so,
okay, yeah.
I don't really know. But yeah, never beeped through an
airport.
That's
a shame.
Yeah, it is. It would have been nice, but I did request it, but they said no. So I guess my body's well-being was a lot better than being able to beep through an airport.
Fair enough. Although it is a good conversation starter.
Yeah, a few people have brought it up. Like I remember when I was a kid and stuff, people, particularly being primary school, do you beep through an airport and stuff? And then yeah, I do. Oh, that's amazing. I'm like, well, they just let me go through, so they can't take the rod out, so it's fine.
I know that, the human body is quite resilient, and one of the things I train in mixed martial arts, and the kicking bags and throwing kicks is a very important part of that sport. And you see a lot of people sort of, they work on their shins, so they create scar tissue which calcifies, and that becomes a stronger bone. So you can see, like, there's this footage of a young girl, and we'll play it now over this video, but of a young girl who can kick this tree, and she doesn't just kick trees, she kicks like metal poles, she kicks wooden poles, she kicks concrete pylons, and she kicks them as hard as she can. She's got this strong as fuck shins. It's insane. Now, that is a process that people would have, the vast majority of people would have. Does your body allow you to do that, to recover to that point? Or is that a part of the collagen as well, to repair itself and then make a bone stronger if it fractures?
Yeah, no. As I've got older, probably when I was younger, like when you kind of go through puberty, your bones tend to harden. That's when my bones hardened to the most point, or to the hardest point. And then, like I've as an adult, I've only ever broken a finger. That's like an occupational hazard, so we won't count that. But like I've broken a leg. I've broken my leg twice, and I only broke my leg like 2 years ago. I slipped over, and then it was nearly 4 months before it healed. Like when I was a kid, It was like 3 weeks, and up again, and it was
3 weeks.
Yeah, it was just most kids would heal 3 or 4 weeks.
Fair game.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then I just kept going back. Hasn't healed. I was like, oh, that's quite annoying. So, that's quite annoying. Yeah, I'm 30 now, and I thought, oh God, just imagine when I'm 30, if I'd have done this, it would have been 12 months. So